Hi, and welcome to 12 IPT, Option 4, Multimedia Systems, Topic 1, Characteristics of Multimedia Systems. This is Activity 2, Differences between Print and Multimedia. Please pause here if you'd like to see all the dot points that are covered by this activity. So this one covers the differences between print and multimedia, and obviously there are many differences. Syllabus requires you to know about the differences in four main areas: different modes of display, interactivity and involvement of participants in multimedia systems, the ease of distribution, and the authority of the document. So, in terms of the different modes of display, in terms of print, there's a focus on the text, okay? Obviously, with newspaper articles, there are sometimes some very large images, but the majority of the content is delivered through the text. In terms of newspapers, we have large format paper. In terms of magazines, we have an A4, roughly A4 size glossy paper. Brochures, there is a single or double-sided brochure. You can use plain paper or glossy, and there's folded or unfolded brochures. And obviously, depending on the format, you've got different formats for letters, memos, and other printed documents as well. For multimedia, there is generally a focus on visuals and audio. Obviously, print can't do audio, but with multimedia, there is a much larger amount of the story told through visuals, particularly moving visuals, such as videos and animation. So we've got videos and animation here, we've got high quality visuals, spoken words, music and sound effects. With audio, you've got spoken words, music and sound effects. And with hypertext, you've got the linking of other media types, and it's much more like a newspaper or magazine with multimedia. So we also look at the interactivity and involvement of participants in multimedia systems. With print, there is no instant interactivity. The consumers can choose their content by reading through different sections, so they can choose to go straight to the sports section, for instance. But there's no straightaway interactivity with the medium. The consumers can write letters to the editor or otherwise submit feedback to the authors of publication, and feedback and responses is often not made available to the wider audience. There is generally a letters page for the letters to the editor or something similar, but that does not publish all the feedback that the newspaper or print article or medium receives. In terms of multimedia, there is instant interactivity, often available through the use of hyperlinks and multimedia controls. So consumers can choose what content they consume. They can instantly skip through. They can pick different videos, they can pick different articles, etc. through the use of hyperlinks. There is instant feedback in the form of comments. So straight away, if you don't like a YouTube video, for instance, you can write in the comments that you don't like it, and you can upvote or downvote it on different websites as well. While comments can be restricted, they are often not. So a lot of people will filter their comments, but more often people don't. That way you get a full spectrum of comments. And it's also can be bad publicity if you moderate your comments so that only good comments come through. Oftentimes comments are generally only moderated to remove spam and really offensive stuff. We also have a rise of citizen journalism, which is everyday people filming items and posting on social media and becoming important additions to news or news items in their own right. So in this way, people generate their own multimedia and they become interactive with the medium. Whereas with print, very rarely do people get a chance to submit their own articles, unless of course you've got the letters to the editor and things like that. Ease of distribution. So with print, the content must be created, usually on a computer, and then printed. Printing has much higher costs for materials than web storage for multimedia. The content must then be distributed, so it needs to be delivered and sold, mailed to individuals, or handed out. There's a massive time lag between authoring of content and delivery of content. And to rectify these problems, newspapers previously were printed 2 or 3, even 3 times per day, so that the newspaper sold in the morning was different to the newspaper sold in the evening because there was news happening throughout the day. These days, with the declining popularity of newspapers, we generally don't have newspapers being printed every 2 or 3 times a day. So there's an even bigger time lag of content. The newspaper you buy in the morning will have obviously news from the night before, but as news changes throughout the day, you won't be able to be updated on that until you buy the paper the next day. And it's impossible to update print mediums without reprinting the document. With multimedia, the content is created on computer, and the costs are lower than print. For consumers, it's generally free. So you don't generally have to pay to consume multimedia content unless you subscribe to pay sites. Content can immediately be published online, so you don't have to have this time lag, and it can be distributed very easily too. You can have an email subscription list or a following sort of thing. You can post on websites and you can share it through social media. So people who want to know about your content straight away can. And there's very little time lag between the authoring of content and delivery of content, which means that with multimedia you can get very, very up-to-date content. And updates are easy to make too. So if for whatever reason you publicize something that changes or is wrong or whatever, you can very easily correct it without having to sort of take down the article and put it back up again. Authority of the document. So print media generally has more authority than online media, but this is changing. Authority sort of talks about whether something is believed to be true or not, or it's the best source of information. Most of the big names in media gained their reputation in print and still have a large presence here, such as Fairfax, which makes the Sydney Morning Herald, or News Limited, which do the Daily Telegraph. The length of the writing and publishing cycle means that articles are generally better written, researched, and fact-checked, although this is changing as well. Recently, with newspapers declining popularity, they have reduced the amount of journalists they have, and so the amount of time they have to edit and fact-check articles is being reduced, and therefore the quality of the articles is being reduced as well. And as print is impossible to change, an author needs to be more sure of themselves before they print something. So that also affects the authority of the document as well. With multimedia, it generally has less authority than print, as it hasn't been around as long, but again, this is changing. Many big names in multimedia haven't been around all that long. Many are also crowdsourced as opposed to content produced by journalists. So there's a lot of people with multimedia who are generating content from the world around them instead of being produced by qualified people. Short writing and publishing cycle and lack of reputations means people are able to say what they like without anything being checked. And this is a big problem with multimedia in that, especially with the internet in general, you can say whatever you like. The bigger names with more reputations will obviously not necessarily say whatever they like, but there's a lot of people who are anonymous who can say whatever they like. And the good thing with multimedia is that content can be easily updated, changing the messages that was originally sent. So that's an issue as well. So because I can change the content, I might say a positive piece about something, and then I can change it to a negative piece. And so that can obviously affect the authority of my document as well.